Praise be to Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. Dear brothers and sisters in the great Saint Joseph, most of you may not have seen an image like this, because here we see Saint Joseph almost represents as a king. So we can see on his hand there is one big staff, the authoritative staff, the staff from which was bloomed the miraculous lily that we can see on the other hand. And moreover, we see a crown on the head of Saint Joseph. So from that we can make out here Saint Joseph is like a king. Was he really a king? Today we are going to meditate and reflect about the authority and the kingship of Saint Joseph. We know Jesus Christ is the King of Kings. Mary Most Holy is the Queen of all the angels and saints and Queen of the universe. Then why can't Saint Joseph be a king? Yes, he indeed was a king, not only in the mystical or spiritual sense, but historically he was the King of Jews. Today we are going to reflect and meditate on this aspect, the kingly aspect of our great patriarch, our great father, Saint Joseph. So, we know from the Gospels, and we know in all the four Gospels, we have the narration of the Passion of Jesus Christ. In the Passion narration, especially in the Gospel of St. John, we have in the chapter 18 and chapter 19, where the Pilate Jesus is placed in front of Pilate because of the accusations, and he is supposed to interrogate Jesus. And during the interrogation, Pilate asked Jesus, "Are you the King of Jews?" Not the point. Are you the King of Jews? We cannot see anywhere Jesus affirming that he is a king. But the Jews know very well that the Messiah would be the king, the liberator from all the dominion or from all the slavery what they had gone through. And they want to be liberated actually from the Romans. But when the real liberator came, the Redeemer, the King, the High Priest, the Prophet, means the prophet of all the prophets, they don't want to accept him. And they want to kill him. And the prophecies has to be fulfilled. His own people killed him. His own people gave him to be sacrificed. So we see in the Gospels Pilate asking, "Are you the King of Jews?" And Jesus said, "Are you saying by yourself or because others said?" So in all the four Gospels you see that. But in the Gospel of John, when we go to the chapter 19, we can see Pilate bringing Jesus outside and telling, "Here is your king." And they shout, "We don't have any other king than Caesar." Imagine the one who came to liberate them from the slavery, and they proclaimed their enemy as the king and abandoned Jesus. Now, at the crucifixion, Jesus had a title which was engraved by Pilate, and the Jews asked to correct it, but Pilate prophetically said, "What is written is written." So it was a prophecy, and God wants it to be like that. Now, what was written, the inscription on the top of the cross? We normally say INRI. Israelus Nazarenus Rex Judaeorum. That means Jesus Christ, the Nazarene King of Jews. Was that inscription just a mistake or a mystical sense or just a spiritual sense? No. In reality, indeed, historically, Jesus Christ was the king at that moment, at that time in the history. We know he came from the descendants of David. And who is the descendant of David? The great Saint Joseph, his father. And even Mother Mary is also a descendant of David, but both from the different family roots. But both of them got David as their ancestor. So both of them got royal blood. And that's why even in the earthly existence, Saint Joseph was really a king and Mary Most Holy was really a queen. But the people outside, the world outside did not perceive it. And they are the real king and the queen who humbled themselves. Moreover, the King of Kings, who humbled, became like a slave and lived among us to take all our pains and sufferings, to be with us, to redeem us. The greatest example no king in the world can set, no queen, no king, other king can set an example like what we have from the Holy Family. Saint Joseph, the King of Jews. And indeed, historically speaking, they say if the kingship existed at the time when Saint Joseph was alive, legally, Saint Joseph would have been the king. The legal heirship goes to Saint Joseph. And if that, the heir to become the heir of David, to become the king, then obviously Saint Joseph is a great king, and his wife is a queen, and his son is the prince. That's why we call Jesus Prince of Peace. He is really the Prince of the Jews. Now, if we analyze, 30 years Jesus spent with his father and mother, a preparation of 30 years for a 3-year mission. And he was so subjected to his father, King Joseph, to his mother, Queen Mary, and he obeyed them, respected them. He was completely subjected to them, in spite of the fact that he is their creator, in spite of the fact that he formed them, in spite of the fact that he wants them to be with him and to be taught, to be nourished, to be instructed. It's a marvel. It's a marvel. If we ponder well the marvel in the Holy Family, there you see all the virtues like competing each other, the virtues competing each other and flourishing in them in an exuberant, excellent way. Anyway, let's concentrate on the kingship of Saint Joseph. And that's why Saint Joseph being the king, imagine the king won't allow the prince to be sacrificed, to be killed in the normal sense. But Saint Joseph being obedient to God and the designs of God, he would have done. But if he was alive and offering the prince, his successor, to be on the cross, then the prophecy and the plan of God would not have been fulfilled. That's why it was necessary that God wants Saint Joseph to pass away, to die, before Jesus begins the mission. And Jesus begins his mission after the death of Saint Joseph. Why? Because he wants to begin his mission in the fullness of an eternal priest. He is an eternal priest according to the order of Melchizedek. The prophet, fulfilling all the prophecies of the Old Testament, including that of St. John the Baptist, the greatest prophet, the hyphen which joins the Old Testament and the New Testament, and to be the king. So we all participate. We all participate in the threefold mission of Jesus: his kingship, his prophetic mission, and his priestly mission. We all participate by receiving the sacrament of baptism. And when Jesus entered, or when he began his public mission, he was indeed, literally, he was indeed a king, a priest, an eternal priest, and a prophet. And that's why it was necessary St. Joseph must die before. And he died on the cross as all these three: the priest, the prophet, and the king. And indeed, he was really the king of Jews. So, what a wonder. And that's why we see St. Joseph being a king. He was so humble. And he did all the menial jobs. He worked as a carpenter. He struggled so much. He was so obedient, taking Jesus, protecting, going from one place to another. The one who was supposed to be in the palace, one who has authority to command the whole Jews, was always subjected, including the Jesus Christ. Here we see the marvelous wonder of humility, submission, obedience, and a trustful surrender into the plan of the divine providence. So let's ask this grace from the great King and Patriarch and our Father, St. Joseph. Father of Jesus is my Father. Father of the King, the Father King of Jesus, is also my King and my Majesty, whom I should honor and respect. So let's ask this big grace from St. Joseph, so that even though the authority is given to us, it's meant to serve. The authority is given to serve. Even if I become a king, I should be ready to serve others. That's a great example St. Joseph set before us. And let's ask this big grace to be humble, to be always ready at the service of others on this day while meditating the kingship of the great St. Joseph. May Jesus, Mary, and Joseph bless you all.